これ下どうやって消えない？下の部分が消えないですね。消しちゃうと消えちゃう、中の消えますよ。これなくなっちゃう。ほら。あ、これはあれですよね。スライドじゃない、こうじゃないですか。表示のこれがスライド一覧になってるので。いいです。もう始めます。Good morning.
Okay.
So far, we covered chapter 1, 2, 3. These are basically the background. Why I started the crisis or sustainability technologies. Today's presentation is typically the chapter 4, 5, 6, categorization of political engineering and crisis technology and sustainability technologies. These are the typically key for the engineering students. How our new materials or devices can be utilized for the crisis and sustainability technologies. So I will also introduce the homework 2 and 3, so which you can work using this. So I will present some of these examples of how you will integrate your devices into the crisis technologies, okay? And as Tanaka Sensei already mentioned, the homework is 10 days after my class tomorrow. That means August 2nd, Wednesday. That is the deadline. Of course, Japan is 13 hours ahead. So therefore, you may consider the next day, August 3rd, if you send me, I'm the August 2nd, okay? Crisis technologies. In my category, I usually introduce all technologies. They divided into normal technologies and crisis technologies. Normal technologies are such as the new discovery, inventions. These are rather popular in Japan. And also designing and manufacturing and marketing. These are MBA related, but real best-selling devices are development. These are also rather conventional type. However, the new technology, normal technology, include sustainability technologies, which is initially regulated by the like a law or regulations, governed, determined by the government originally, and also the global, the regime, such as CO2 regulations. So when I was a student, of course, the automobile should be the quicker and quicker and high powers. We don't care anything about the efficiencies. However, nowadays, what is a major constraint for the automotive, like engineers? Number one, CO2 regulations. So we need to down the exhaust situations less than some certain limitations. Of course, the limit of the CO2 is determined by the Japan or US different ways, okay? And also the efficiency, that rather important nowadays, okay? So these are all determined by the government. So the engineer needs to follow the original, the regulations. So of course, the powerful professors need to press or push the government, or I need to teach the politicians, like a congressperson or senators, how to regulate. They are ridiculously set some certain range. So we need to really advise. So we need to control So I usually teach my engineering students, control the politicians. That's most important for the engineers, okay? Politician doesn't know anything about the engineering. Therefore, we need to control, and even the regulations, we need to set the numbers for some certain milestone, okay? That's a sustainability. Sustainability belongs to the normal. That means we don't have particular deadline so much, so seriously. Even some toxic materials or CO2, typically a couple of years, but usually after spending, this regulation will be postponed, okay? Another 5 years or others. That's possible. To the contrary, crisis technology, this is really limited time. Typically, like a tornado in the United States, recovery must be made in less than 3 months, okay? If the president doesn't really recover more than 1 year, usually president will be crushed down, okay? So to the contrary, in my feeling, Fukushima recovery is so long, okay? If this happened in the United States, all government will be crushed down, okay? So a crisis is usually time limited. So we cannot choose any best. Better technologies is usually used. And natural disaster, infectious disease, enormous accident, intentional incident, and so on, we will describe this part. So sustainability and crisis technologies, these are politically initiated, politically controlled engineering. So I usually teach this part. Crisis technologies, further classified into the natural disaster, disease, accident, and terrorist, and war. This chapter 4, I will introduce, and you can smell what are these issues. Our first example can be found in the natural disaster, 2005, Hurricane Katrina. After that, the U.S. government completely changed the structures. Do you know this? FEMA started, okay? And 2001, another government beautifully set up. What is this? Homeland Security, okay, came up. Before that, the Army, Navy, Air Force are a little separated, but Homeland Security covers all. So quick, the motion has been made. So among the Homeland Security, FEMA is working particularly for the natural disaster, okay? So how to detect this will be explained on the next chapter, 5. And the infectious disease, bird flu in Hong Kong in 1997, okay? So we need to, work on this crisis. So natural disaster, this is most famous Tohoku, the Kanto Tohoku earthquake. So at that time, we found that even the Japanese government seems to be a robotic country. They don't have any unmanned aerial vehicle, unmanned underwater vehicle. So we decided to provide the Japanese government to use this as soon as possible. But interestingly, I will explain again in the chapter 8, crisis, like management situations. When we offer some robotic systems, next day of this, the 3/11, that means March 12th, we provided some suggestions to, they provide the UAV and UUV, including a monitoring system of the underwaters. But the Japanese government reply came up 2 weeks later. And the letter mentioned clearly that, okay, when the robotic system collapses, who will be responsible? What the heck of this? My commanding officer was really angry about this. This is 1 day, 2 days, immediate situations. to find out already dead person's remains underwater and so on. Therefore, almost all are missing during these 2 weeks, okay, without doing nothing by the Japanese government. Therefore, this is the delay of this. And also enormous accident. Yes, I found today's like a newspaper, okay. They finally tried to make optical fiber scope into this and found that there's some debris inside. Crazy, okay? This should be found in a couple of days later after the accident, but unfortunately, Japan doesn't have any of these technologies, okay? So the first robotic system was introduced by iRobot. That's our Army's robot. Army's robot was used inside and searched, okay? The crisis is important and find out some of the robotic system, okay? Enormous accident. 3 Mile Island is rather popular in the United States. So this is the first nuclear meltdown accident in the world. So in 1979, when I was still the young professors, assistant professors at Penn State, I was not really any expert of this. I was the piezo ceramic person. But about 1 week later, Penn State received already $2 million fund. That is to develop the cement to cover all of this. For the chimneys are here, but these are already dead. That means 2 chambers are down, and these are just a chimney, but still this situation happened. So the chamber, a nuclear chamber, was covered by the cement. But unfortunately, the Pennsylvania area is really highly rock salt area. Rock salt, so NaCl. The cement has never really solidified at that period. Therefore, the government requests us to develop a new cement less than 3 months, very limited period. And the Penn State has got the money. Therefore, the inside, of course, including me, some of the additional powers are used. But recruiting other countries for the expert, it takes minimum 3 weeks, 1 month for the visa and so on, this arrangement, okay? So usually, once this accident happened, MIT or Stanford or some famous professors are usually called to the some part, less than 48 hours, and automatically, the professor cannot reject anything. Just ordered by the government and collected, and typically 1 week period, we set all the, the milestone for how to recover this incident. This is the typical way, okay? So in my feeling, the initial robotic systems, I believed maximum 3 months. The Japanese need to create a new robotic systems. You have basic knowledge, but just particularly for the nuclear power plant. So typically, in my feeling, as a U.S. engineers, 3 months is necessary. But nothing happened from the government. They didn't call any robotic professors from Tohoku University or Nagoya University to the Fukushima. All must be brought by using a helicopter in 48 hours, okay? And start the cooling system. In that case, you have never probably got any explosion situation. All are delayed by the leader's decision. So Fukushima, the accident, in my feeling, this is merely like a human accident. It's not related with any technologies so much, okay? So BP, deep water, horizon oil spill. Obama period, this happened drastically. So still, is this a BP's problem or BP's contract company's problem? These are still, the fighting each other, okay? Civil War, Arab Spring. This Arab Spring, partially initial Egypt and so on, these are successfully made. But the effective use of the social media, smartphone helps dramatically for this situation. I will explain later again. So smartphone. And the Civil War, you made this person, okay? Mubarak and also Gaddafi was finally killed later. But these are all expelled during the Arab Spring. All are related with the technologies, okay? Terrorist attack, World Trade Center attack, 2001. This is the starting point of the current world war against the terrorists, okay? The United States as well as France clearly declared we are currently the war period, okay? And the terrorist attack, U.S. World Trade Center. I'm showing some movies. I don't know how to increase the sound level. This doesn't have any sound.どうすればいいんですかこれ。Anyhow, the Osama bin Laden, he was finally killed. Background and how to solve by using a technology will be explained later. So basically, I will provide some of the technology which Japanese, the Ministry of Defense, as well as you guys need to prepare for these technologies through the companies. So this territorial invasion, you are not very familiar with this situation. So are you familiar with the Senkaku invasion?
I'm not sure about it, but I think, yeah.
What was the actual incident? What happened?
Oh, yeah, I know.
What happened? Can you briefly explain?
Yeah.
What is this ship?
I think this is like a China ship, and attack for like some marine for Japan.
Yes.
And this is because they want to like.
This is the Coast Guard of Japanese ship. And this is the Chinese so-called trolling, the ship. But this was camouflage of the military ship of China, okay? And that attacked, actually. And what happened later? Actually, this captain was released without providing any penalty, okay? Invasion penalty as well as crashing penalties. If you made just an automotive crash, you will be arrested, actually. but this was completely released, okay? So China's viewpoint, of course, Chinese claim the discovery and control of the island from the 14th century. That's correct, okay? And while Japan controlled them from 1895 until its surrender at the end of World War II, okay? So the China's viewpoint returned the border before 1895, okay? Japan's viewpoint. We are concerned by an unprecedented increase in risky activity by China Marine Agency near the Senkaku Island. The U.S. returned administration of Senkaku Island in 1972 to Japan. That time is, do you recall, Okinawa Prefecture was returned to Japan. Okay? Previously, that Senkaku area was the U.S. territory. Okay? And after that, officially, U.S. returned to Japan. So they fall within the scope of U.S.-Japan mutual defense treaty. Okay? So typical world consensus, what is this situation? The country boundary should be determined by the most recent frontier agreement. That is the common sense in worldwide. So if you say 17th century, this area was mine, therefore return back. In that case, all Europe used to belong to the Turkey, okay? Ottoman Turkey emperor governed most of the Europe areas, but the Turkey is not claiming such kind of 17th centuries or 18th centuries. The last war, that means World War II, after that, we need to really consider it, okay? Therefore, they returned the border before 1895. This is ridiculous from the government or just worldwide common sense viewpoint, okay? You need to understand the common sense world consensus. It's not really regulations, but this is the typical, the considerations. So we need to consider after the World War II. Of course, the Senkaku, Okinawa used to be a U.S. territory, but the U.S.-Japan just agreement has been set and returned back to Japan. Therefore, the world consensus support this, the Senkaku belongs to Japan. That's definite, okay? Why this territorial invasion happened in this particular 2010? When I arrived in Japan, just less than 1 month, this incident happened. So the Chinese Navy ambition to move into the Pacific Sea and South China Sea. Still, the expanding the sea territory are still ongoing, okay? And the 1968 academic survey undertaken by United Nations Economic Council, oil reserve was discovered previously, and the methane hydrate was discovered in this area 2009. That's the critical issues, one year prior. Another one, what I would like to point out is this, and this is the common our DOD's sense. Why this particular date, okay? That means then Foreign Minister Katsuya Okada, he's a crazy guy actually, the Democratic Party of Japan disclosed the secret of US-Japan security alliance. Japan territory does not possess a nuclear bomb missiles in March 2010. This is the trigger. Usually after this kind of so aggressive territorial invasion happened, October. Usually half year later, exact date, half year later, we usually, this incident happened, okay? So the nuclear, this missile, the China used to believe the nuclear missile was in the Sasebo or Yokosuka areas. At least the Japanese territory keeps the nuclear missile. That is a good deterrent. Deterrent, if you are not familiar with this wording, the yokushiroku Japanese, okay? Deterrent. So this deterrent was completely diminished by this Katsuya Okada's address. If this happened in the United States, he will be arrested, like espionage, okay? Chinese aggressive territorial invasion started October 10th, as well as the Russian president, you still remember the Medvedev, also invaded into the Kunashiri beautifully. And the first time president of Russia visited the Kunashiri, okay? This is exactly coincident with this Okada, the Minister Okada's disclosure of this, okay? Actually, minister should be very carefully, mentioned. Now the Minister of Defense, the ladies are some problem. She's not the professional Minister of Defense, in my feeling, okay? So actually Russian president also invaded. So North and South at the same time invade to Japan. How the Japanese Ministry of Defense as well as the government needs to defend all of this, okay? I would like to introduce this situation on the next slide, not the next chapter. Why this territorial invasion happened? Yes?
Regarding to the Mr. Okada's remark, I couldn't understand what did happen and what is the point. Because officially in Japan, no nuclear policy still persists. The Japan does not allow to bring the nuclear missile or nuclear power to Japan territory. So that is one of the three official statements of the Japanese government made in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Okada, Foreign Minister Okada's remark might be the part of the Japanese government official statement. That is my understanding. Is that correct?
No, before this, basically, really existing or not existing doesn't matter. Chinese, Russia believed the United States military keeps the nuclear missile. Therefore, if they hit, one example is the North Korea. Okay, North Korea hesitates to hit Japan. However, once this is clearly disclosed, losing a deterrent, this is most important issue. This is a hidden agreement between the U.S. and Japan.
So you mean particularly the missile, not the nuclear bomb or nuclear power?
Nuclear bomb is the largest and the strongest, the deterrent. Okay. So just having some suspicion of having this nuclear, the missile, this is the strongest deterrent. Other country cannot really invade.
But official Japanese government statement claimed in the past more than 50 years, no nuclear bomb or nuclear
general statement is fine, but particularly for this particular time, he declared this. Therefore, half year later, this happened. This sequence is actually true, and this is real situation. North Korea, why they are trying to invade Japan and launching a missile. This is also related with this kind of diminishing or reducing a deterrent. This is the really serious situation. So as I told you, if this happened in the United States, he will be prisoned. Typically 10-year prison, this kind of situation. Yes?
You have the actual date and in what context he mentioned? I'd like to look up the whole. I don't know.
I didn't put the details here, but the March 2010, you can see some of the newspapers, okay? And I was here, therefore I saw on the television, okay? He clearly mentioned this. Therefore, I was upset. So I was anticipating some of the bad issues. This is March. So exactly half a year later, this happened. This is already like the expected or anticipated through the typical game theory, okay?
He was crushed by that very stupid person.
Yes.
International diplomacy.
But anyhow, the regular person can say anything, but some responsible person should or should not mention some particular issues, okay? And the territorial invasion, China, this is the general situation. They are setting a first island line and the second island line. So this is the future, the territorial invasion or their expansion of the territories. First island expansion is around here. So you are probably familiar with this part. This is the Senkaku Island. So keeping a Senkaku is most important to expand this part. Another one is South China Sea here. You may know the China made a mischief reef. This is the name. And artificial island created by China. The creating an island and expanding some of the territories, this is not the, how can I say, it's against the world common sense, okay? So if China put another island, creating an island very near from Hawaii, what happened, okay? Each country should not make a new island, okay? And particularly this island is rather far from here. So the conflict initially started from Philippines, but the current Philippine president is like China. Therefore, this part is partially allowed by Philippines, but still United States are against. Therefore, we passed very close to this, okay? Therefore, Chinese government complained, I think 2 weeks ago, against the US, okay? But we are not really recognizing this is really still the Chinese territory, okay? New island. So, of course, the natural island, like Japanese, the Tokyo areas, but very far, we have got a new volcano island. This is natural, therefore that belongs to Japan. But this is artificial island. So they dumped some of the stones and creating this island. So if we allow these situations, any country can expand into the seas, okay? As long as you can make a new island, okay? So the major issues around here, rich in unexpected oil and gas field, Therefore, China tried to move out here. Okay. Second island, of course, this is not seriously considered at this moment. Can you see here? This is Japan. So all these areas are like a Chinese territory in the future. Okay. And North Korea, as I already mentioned, a missile launch already started and hitting to Japan around here, okay? Very close to the Japanese. Already some of the missiles move into the Japanese sea area. Therefore, they hit the Japanese territory already, okay? So how we can defend from this missile attack, that will be explained in the next chapter. Threat by North Korea. So basically, this chapter 4 shows the background of this attack or territorial invasion and so on. And practical engineering development will be explained in the next chapter. Kim Jong-un is the chairman of the Workers' Party, Korea, and continue to develop nuclear weapons, okay? As long as they found that Japan doesn't have any nuclear missile, therefore it's good timing to provide a strong threat to Japan. Therefore, they try to, they agitate the missile and also nuclear, the bomb experiment, okay? Once we used to, they provide some kind of rumors, which the Japanese territory have the nuclear missile, they didn't really invade, okay? This is another incident why the Japanese, military is so weak. Therefore, they started to attack, okay? This is most important. We need to expand the, like a deterrent. I'm not saying real fighting and so on, but at least we need to keep military technologies. Otherwise, the other surrounding countries are always watching and try to invade. That's the definite situation. Under Kim Jong-un, nuclear weapons and started, this incident. You are familiar with this. And they started to work for the ICBM, NHK television also provided. ICBM is, are you familiar with this? Intercontinental ballistic missile. That means continental. Therefore, final, the attack or territory for this largest ICBM is from North Korea to the United States. Currently, only the Alaska area will be covered from their missile capability. So our Washington, D.C. is safe, even they try to attack us, okay? But Japan, all are included already. Therefore, even a Tokyo nuclear bomb may hit, okay? Yes?
I'm curious about North Korea. What do you think is the targeted payoff scenario for in-game for North Korea?
Basically, they are seeking some of the money support. It's a little different from the typical terrorist. And they need money. But military attack is the strongest, the trade-off. So attacking and threatening and getting money, okay? Cyber war. This is serious. Sony Picture Entertainment was hacked in 2014, okay? And Sony Entertainment provided the movies, and hacker group, Guardians of Peace, leaked to release the confidential data from the film studio Sony Picture Entertainment, and tried to stop the releasing these movies. So GOP, this Guardians of Peace, they demanded Sony film and stop this publications. But our U.S. ambassador to UN clearly declared this is absurd. So we released these movies in the United States. But other countries, yes, some countries are hesitating to release this, okay? Cyber war, another one. This is inside, how can I say, it's not the terrorist, but the problem, Espionage Act by Ed Snowden. Ed Snowden is a CIA person and like a special agent, and information technology are sought. He is a top secret person, therefore he can access any information, okay? Actually, level is almost mine when I was working in the Navy, okay? I'm a Navy intelligence group, and particularly finding out some of the information in Japan, that's my, the duty. So the Navy ambassador to Japan, through the technology issues, okay? So he is basically seeking some of the information through the conversation, telephone or email or others. You are using a website, typically, www. This was originally created by the US military. And there are some, how can I say, www is very weak from the hacking, okay? Intentionally made, because the United States tried to seek any country's, the information through the www. So we have some hacking portions. This was originally good for the United States, but now this hacking technology was taken by the Korea and China, North Korea and China. Therefore, another counter attack came in. Therefore, it's rather tough situation. Okay, very highly, the high secure internet, we cannot seek others. Therefore, the military usually use an intranet system, which others cannot really invade. Okay. But Edward Snowden is an American computer professional, former CIA employee, and former contractor. Okay. I'm also the contractor 4 years for the Navy. So we have lots of contractors who are not really military, the training, but for the United States government, who copied and leaked classified information from the National Security Agency. Okay.
Sensei,
Yes.
I think you both direct hired officials of DoD as well as contractor. Did you use two phases?
Contractor means I'm hired,
Yes.
but still the payment
Yeah.
is from Penn State.
I see.
That means Intergovernmental Personnel Act, IPA, that's my position. So I'm not the official, how can I say, during that period, I need to behave like a real government officer.
Yes.
But after finishing, I'm just a Penn State professor. Currently, I'm a Penn State professor. So after finishing 2-year period, still confidential agreement is covered. But I'm already 3rd year. Therefore, I'm purely like a regular citizen now. But the security clearance was still remained. Okay. Therefore,
So there is no problem in teaching this kind. Some part of the lectures are highly, yes, interested, but
these parts are already published.
yes.
And I'm not saying the present, any secret around President Trump and so on.
Okay.
So I'm usually talking a little old part, okay?
Right.
So Snowden, this is already well-known issues. Therefore, I'm saying this. Snowden pointed out the whistleblower. I'm a whistleblower itself. But actually, this disclosed lots of confidential issues. Therefore, this is against as a contractor or the CIA officer. Okay. So from here, I briefly introduced the ONR, Office of Naval Research Global, this network. You can find on your laptop. You are not using a laptop. This is a little small. Therefore, you had better watch in your presentation file. Generally, all technologies are classified into 7 in our category. The first, the number 6 is just the old document Chapter 6 category. So it's not. It doesn't have any particular meaning. 1, 2 to 7. Okay. So 7 is like a final warfare, and the 6 is a slight modification of this, and 1 is a basic science, like Einstein's the relativity theory and so on. This belongs to the physics and basic. Okay, and 2, category 2 is like a faculty of engineering, some application-related research. Therefore, this is 2. 3 is a little further. So 3, 4, 5. This is how to translate or transfer or transit range from the fundamental to the final applications. Therefore, this part is really critical. So this shows the visibility curve. So initially basic. Yes, physics professor can easily write the papers. So papers belongs to this, and the engineering professor usually write this, slightly applied for this application and so on. This part is fine. But to make a real, the warfare, we need to search 3, 4, 5, this area. So this is usually, you can also consider this is the opposite side is a risk factor. Large risk is around here. So among fundamental 10 technologies, only 1 will be really used finally for this part. Okay. So for our global, it's usually communicating with the international universities. Particularly, I'm communicating with the Japanese universities. So for this purpose, we will not request any confidential research topic. One example, Keio University, I worked on only 1 program passing through this. And in that case, engineering type, okay? So we are not requesting any report. We will provide just the money. Money amount is not large, just $100,000 range. But this is no obligation, no report, just cash, okay? So professor likes this cash, and we recommend the professors to publicize all the research data, okay? So 1 and 2 are really website. You can also find how many, the Japanese university received our ONR money. I distributed 40 universities already, therefore, you can also find the sum of this, the list, and how much money went there, and so on, okay? Title and the name, these are mandatory released to the website, so open type, okay? And with the Ministry of Defense, we are working typically the 6. So, of course, United States, some weapons or fighters, the Japanese government usually purchase but slightly change some modification may be necessary. One example, military tank, left-handed or right-handed. This is a slight modification, but at least the modification is required. Therefore, Japanese TRDI, what's that? The Technology Research Center or something located in Meguro. They are really making some of the arrangement by using this, okay? Yes?
My personal question, do you think is Ukraine qualified for asking for ONR fund?
Communist country.
Not
Ukraine is independent now.
very close to U.S. Ukraine government supported by American Jewish community.
Yes, any countries, except the communist countries. But even the communist countries, we accepted some of the, we provided some fund for the Hong Kong, but not the mainland yet. And even Hong Kong, we tried to set up ONR global office in Hong Kong. We negotiated for more than 5 years, but at this moment failed. The Chinese government declined to put this, okay? So the...
What about Cuba? There is so-called Cuban Spring.
Obama period, yes, but I don't know at this moment, okay?
When I was young, I met a lot of Cuban refugees who are very good scientists or engineers
Yes.
in the US.
Some of the Cuban refugee or workers are already in Mexico. I met many originally Cuban. But the Mexico is fine, okay, except the current president. So current president disconnected some of these previous relations. So actually, I don't know in this short period, 2 years, 3 years, what will happen with our, the Navy and other countries' relationship. So all materials are prepared during the Obama period. So I'm basically following the Obama, except some Trump mark coming in, okay? I slightly modified before coming to Japan by putting some of the Trump's change, okay? So we will move to the sustainability, next part. Sustainability, power and energy, and the rare materials, food, toxic materials, and environmental pollution, and energy efficiency, and biomedical engineering. These are typically I covered as a sustainability technologies. Some of the information, power and energy, power generations. This is the thermal power at the station. Still ongoing, and 3 gorge. This is, I think, the world's largest dam, hydropower, hydroelectric power station in the world, okay? And the nuclear power plant, Germany, and now solar power. As I told you, Nevada or Arizona is a solar state. The more than 70–80% are completely, no rain. Therefore, it's really, the good efficiency to collect this solar powers. And another one is wind farm, Oregon, and Pennsylvania is the wind power state. So our Appalachian Mountains, typically it's not very high, but around a little less than 2,000 meters from the sea levels, therefore relatively high, and always strong jet stream is coming. 365 days continuous, okay? No stop of this jet stream. So a jet stream and collecting all the time. This area is actually the wind farm area. To the contrary, Japan, forget the windmill, basically, except a small, the home. The typhoon is a serious problem, okay? So to protect from the typhoon attack, you need to put a very rigid, thick, the blade and so on. Therefore, efficiency is dramatically dropped. And also solar was set in Hokkaido, like our Penn State territory. Penn State, usually more than half of the years are snow-covered. There are no snow, solars. Nobody is interested in, setting this solar, okay? Therefore, depending on the areas, the renewable technology should be changed. Power and energy.
You mentioned somewhere that solar power generation in Japan is not quite efficient.
Yes, because rain comes, and also northern part, no way, because snow, okay?
Actually, the larger sizes of solar power generation project now mushrooming, especially in Western Japan, say in Okayama. We are building the largest one.
Very local, it's fine, but the electricity is much higher than the typical thermal. Therefore, you need to spend lots of money for electricity. Even at present, compared to the United States, electricity charge is 4 times higher in Japan, okay? Crazily high. So methane hydrate was discovered. So this is not Japan, but Japan, you may find this methane hydrate type. But the CH4, that means if you burn, CO2 is creating. So I don't know, this is really future, the materials. So biomass, the same situation, thermal. So without using a coal or fossil, the materials, this is a new materials like corn or sugarcane, or you can use make biomass type energies. But still CO2 is the same situation, okay? So
yeah, that's you mentioned. Actually, gradually we are seeing large-scale biomass power plant.
yes, I will provide another problem for the biomass, which I experienced, okay?
Wooden waste.
Yes.
Combat to that.
Oil and civil war. In Amenas hostage, actually the many Japanese are killed.
That's my company.
Yes.
For my employers.
Yeah.
Accident. 10 Japanese were killed. Another 7 Malaysian, Filipinos killed. From the company,
yes.
My company, 17 were victims.
And food versus biofuel. I will repeat again in the tomorrow on these problems. Rice and corn are of course food, okay, but also the biomaterials. When I was the government technical consultant in Thailand, that is 1990s, rice export price in Thailand drastically increased, higher than 60%, only 1 year. Okay, because the US and Japan imported rice and biofuel materials for alcohol production, biomass. Therefore, they bought out. Of course, the Thailand rice is cheaper than Japan or US, therefore they tried to purchase it. Therefore, what happened? The Thai low-income people couldn't purchase rice easily. Therefore, that is temporary famine happened. Okay? So biomass, it's not really good way in Thailand, okay? Toxic materials. There are many toxic materials which must be regulated. So typically, the chlorinated plastics or lead in cathode ray tube, and so on. These are typical one. And environmental pollution. The previously in Japan, now in China, PM, particulate materials, 2.5 micrometer size. This is a serious problem. And also CO2, global warming. Actually, global warming. If you live in Tokyo, yes, you feel a global warming, hot. However, in our Pennsylvania area, in these several years, every year cooling down, okay? So at this moment, yes. That's why Mr. Trump mentioned our area is really cold, okay? Cooling down. What the heck of warming, okay? Yes, this year it's really cold. Even at this moment, just I came here 1 week prior. The morning usually 8 degrees C, and even the highest temperature 23 degrees C. Therefore, my wife is making a lot of vegetable in the yard, but too cold. We don't find any red, tomato, just a green tomato. The size is increasing because we are providing some fertilizer, but the red color doesn't come because it's too cold, okay? I have never wear any short sleeves this year, okay?
I went to Astana, Kazakhstan. There, during the winter time, temperature is -7 degrees C. Women visited in the middle of June, 5 straight days of 35 degrees. But apparently they say this is, influence of global warming.
So
60 degrees, yes?
I'm not criticizing anything, okay? The global warming is generally true, but depending on the areas, our area need a little hot temperature, okay? Environmental pollution in Japan. Minamata disease, 1960s, okay? Mercury. And air pollution, steel industries, and also acoustic noise, and the nuclear power plant. This is 60s, as I already mentioned, 60s, 80s, 2000, 21st centuries. These are the typical Japanese, the power growth curve. So this is 60s, the environmental pollution happened. And the end of the 1979, this is not Japan, but now the Fukushima, 1979, the 3 Mile Island happened, but now the similar situation happened in the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Okay? Biomedical. This is another sustainability technologies. Okay? Basically, this part is a piezoelectric. By applying electric field, you have learned some vibrations of the ceramic. Therefore, we can create some sound into the water. And water, this is, how can I say, your body. Do you know the major ingredient in your body? What is the largest amount? Element. Water. You are 90% water person, okay? Yeah, everybody. So water, so we usually are not working for the bodies, but just the water, okay? And transferring the water of the waves. And if something happened, this is sometimes this baby, or sometimes cancer or others. If the elastic performance is slightly different, acoustic will be just reflected. Therefore, we can detect some of these images. Okay. So I will discuss that tomorrow again. The baby birth or abortion is decided after observing the image. That happened sometimes also in Japan. The male or female, that was popular in Korea. Only female will be aborted. Okay, the male-dominated countries, but not now. They completely changed the attitude because the Korean has only one kid. Therefore, female or male doesn't matter. They need at least one kid. Okay, so the situation changed. So the genetic disease. Sometimes this is popular, still popular, probably in Japan, to kill. If you find your kid is the Down syndrome, would you like to have a baby, or how do you think? If you find the baby has a serious problem, one example, this angel baby or others, would you like to take a birth or just abort? Abort? You will take abortion, okay? So genetic disease, rather popular still in Japan. But as you may know, the United States, some of the states doesn't really allow any abortions, okay? So sometimes the rape happened and the pregnancy happened. So this baby is not really expected baby and raped, okay? Rapers, this happened. But still, the lady needs to take a birth, okay? So this is too extreme. But this should be an ethical situation, so I will discuss it tomorrow on this issue again. Product planning, nowadays, the 2000, I will repeat again, cooperation, protection, reduction, continuation. If you have forgotten, just I would like to remind you again. So a paradigm shift of the product planning, okay? So the previous generation, in our generation, we are making lots of mass production system and so on. Therefore, eco-engineering. But now you need to consider, before developing something, you need to consider the general, the governmental or political regulations first. Therefore, political engineering came in. So sustainability technology and crisis technology, these are now the really profitable, the area. So a nuclear disaster, infectious, enormous accident, and so on, okay? So crisis, actually, I will repeat again tomorrow, and agile decision by political leaders based on the science and the technology knowledge is essential. Therefore, I put this new name, political engineering, in these areas, okay? Particularly crisis.
I agree with you about this. What other countries than U.S., agree with your concept. It's political decisions, even political decisions made more informedly based on science, technology, knowledge.
Actually,
It's pretty weak.
U.S. and Europe are almost the same, directions, okay?
Just Japan is very much behind.
Japan is seriously lack of crisis technologies.
What about, I don't think the very serious involvement of engineers in political decisions, looking at the future, or which direction we go, verification on crisis.
Yes, like G7 or G20s, sometimes the agreement set, but except that Mr. Trump, okay, usually the politicians in the United States will have a kind of, the think tank. So one example, in Pennsylvania, previously Mr. Santorum was elected, but as a representative, he started up a new bioengineering center. So each, the politicians usually, I'm energy and the energy president, that Obama, okay. Now Trump, I don't know, he's a money president probably. This Santorum mentioned, I'm a bio politician, okay. So each has some of the specialists, and collecting initially 30 people employed for setting up this, a bio center. And companies located in Pennsylvania needs to donate something to this, these politicians, and initiating some of the research topics. So they usually set 20 to 30 programs, and even a Penn State professor can apply for the bio. Therefore, some particular areas are booming up in some particular state. That's the typical the U.S. The situations. Therefore, we usually provide a lot of feedback to the political leaders. But as long as I see some of the political leaders' attitude, they will set some of the school, like the Osaka prefecture's some person set Hashimoto-san. He set some of the school. And each, the politician create some schools and learning capability. But they usually teach how to collect the money itself. Therefore, I pushed the Japanese, the academic council, Gakujutsu Kaigi, to collect, Nagata-cho's politicians once a month to teach the high technologies. So this is important in Japan. Otherwise, the politician is really lack of engineering attitude. Okay. So these guys.
Japanese government officials should listen, stay with you for.
Yes, I'm teaching some of the U.S. politicians' attitude. Okay, without knowing any engineering, they cannot set anything. Okay. So Obama put another institute, and energy. So energy Obama, that's a kind of catchy phrase, okay, for this president. So for the product planning strategy, technology, techno-engineering type, usually some of the discovery happened first, and the development and the final product is made, usually this range. And some of my discovery, single crystal or piezoelectrics, these are this typical direction. Econo-engineering, I invented the multi-layer actuators, which dramatically enhance the mass productions. So this technology creates the fundamental to the final product back to the development. This kind of situation happened. And the political engineering, typically like a lead-free, lead means the PB, okay? The PB is toxic, therefore lead-free, the piezoelectric is now booming in Korea and Japan. And in that case, regulation comes first. The ROS, European Community, said until 2020, lead PZT can be used, but after that, this will be regulated. For this purpose, we need to really start the development. According to the regulations, that motivates the development, and sometimes we need to find out, discover the new materials. Completely opposite, the development stage happened nowadays, okay? So Japanese doesn't understand completely for this because they are not familiar with this. They are rather familiar with this, the large production and the cheaper price and so on. This is a conventional management way in Japan. Therefore, most of the Japanese industries, typically large industry, lost their powers because they didn't really change the paradigm shift on this, the manufacturing or development process, okay?
Why does Penn State Engineering collaborate with Seoul National University? Because
in my case, the
you have many
actually when I moved to Penn State, at that time, lots of Korean visitors, visiting professors at Penn State. After returning back, they learned piezoelectric ceramics from me. Therefore, they educated lots. Therefore, this Junho Ryu is a second generation, and he joined to Penn State. So at least I'm collecting multiple Chinese, Korean students at this moment from a particular, the university, Seoul National or Korea University, and so on. Okay. Now this is just a personal.
Bohan is growing.
Yes. This is the introduction, and we will move to the real PA crisis technologies from now on. From here, this is homework 2 related. Therefore, you can find some of the the possible examples to write the homework report. Crisis categorization. This shows the threat receiver and the threat provider. So I will introduce this part easily. So threat receiver, one example, Japan, okay? National, another nation will provide the threat provider, such as North Korea. In that case, traditional security, okay? The traditional security relation, so a nation and a nation relation. This is the one example, okay? Non-nation sometimes as threat, the nations. One example is a rebellion or civil war. Of course, Japan, at this moment, no civil war happened. Therefore, it's fine. But typically, like Egypt or Syria or others, most of the war originated at this moment, not the national direct, but the civilian is the civil war, like is the most the popular. 80% of the war at this moment is this type, okay? And the terror attack to the state. That is like Al-Qaeda, ISIS. These are the typical of this, okay? And non-human disaster, disease, earthquake, or HIV, and bird flu, and nowadays Ebola. These are typically the nation threat from the non-human, okay? Crisis technologies, this is again categories again. I usually categorize 5, disaster, disease, accident, terrorist, and war. And this is the piezoelectric, okay, materials. Shipwreck of Titanic, you have already learned to find out the iceberg, the application motivation happened for the piezoelectric materials. However, typically, commercial shipwreck or one incident doesn't create so large, the investment. So we need to wait 2 more years for the World War I and to find out the U-boat developed by the German Navy. So actual investment happened. Typically the France, as I already explained, Professor Langevin started to use quartz crystals and sandwiching and creating reasonably low frequencies with a little longer the wavelengths. Of course, probably in the middle school, you have learned the wavelengths and speed and frequencies. Do you recall?
Yeah, a little bit.
Velocity is equal to frequency multiplied by lambda. Okay? So the lambda is usually resolutions of this. So to find out the relatively large, the submarine, 5 centimeter is reasonable, the resolutions. Okay. Therefore, we are using a 30 kilohertz. To the contrary, to find out the infant or cancers, what resolution would you like to get? What resolution do you need to find out your cancer? 5 centimeter means this. If you find a tumor this size, it's already fatal. How small would you like to find? How small, the cancer would you like to find?
I think we can.
What is the resolution? 1 millimeter? 2 millimeter? If you can find this 2 millimeter tumor, it's a starting point. Therefore, you can easily make a surgery without having any, the typical. But if you use this 5 centimeter resolution, when you find the cancers, this is already this size, okay? It's already fatal end, okay? Therefore, if you need a 5 millimeter or less, easy calculation. 5 millimeter means the 1/10 smaller. Therefore, frequency should be 10 times higher to keep the same velocities, okay? So 300 kilohertz. And typically, the medical acoustics, we usually design like 3 megahertz. Mega means 100 times higher, okay? Therefore, 100 times smaller resolution. That means this is 50 millimeter, therefore 0.5 millimeter resolution. Smaller than 1 millimeter, we can detect using the acoustics. That's why currently many people are surviving when we can find rather easily some cancer symptom, okay? And finding out some of this. So World War I, the Austria and Hungary, these are one countries, Archduke was killed. Therefore, this happened. So the Allied is Britain, France, Russia, Central Powers, Austria, Hungary, and Germany. These are the Central Powers. Okay? And actually this attacked first and killed the Austria-Hungary's top. And therefore the World War I started. And America's dilemma. Of course, America was really, not invited, but the need to join this war but no practical international war experience so far. The America is really special situation. We have never invaded by the other countries, okay? Therefore, no experience. Only the war experience is the so-called Nambok sense of South and North, the revolution, okay? This is the only the one. So actually World War I period, the US military was so weak. The commanding officer is the French officers, and we are just working as a regular soldiers, okay? And Britain based on history, language. Shall we join here? But many United States citizens, particularly Pennsylvania, is mostly the German oriented. Therefore, the German and the French inside the United States are really split 50-50. So how can we really work, okay? So the initial, a couple of years, we are escaped. We are neutral, okay? That's a good way. However, unfortunately, the US ship was attacked by the German. Therefore, we decided to move into the Allies part, not the central, okay? Therefore, that's the starting point of this. Since we are so behind in the military technologies from France and Germany and so on, probably many people knows this guy. Do you know this person? It's not the fluorescence lamp, but the original, like the white light bulb was discovered by the Thomas Edison. But Thomas Edison started the GE, okay? GE is the Fukushima nuclear plant, chamber manufacturer. But the GE founder, as well as the Rensselaer Polytech University's founder. So the Naval Research Laboratory was conceived. He is not really controlling this, but conceived, and the secretary really decided to set up a Naval Research Laboratory. And we started to work on the military technologies. And around the World War II, we reached already the France and this. So during the 1912 until this, about a 20 years period, a little more than 20 years, our military technology dramatically grew up through the Naval Research Laboratory. So our Naval Research Laboratory is the key to consider the US technologies, okay? World War II, this happened. So in the piezoelectric areas, new discovery came up, barium titanate. This is one of the most famous original piezoelectric materials at that time. And originally titanium capacitor condenser was popularly used, but we needed the high power permittivity materials to shrink all the capacitance. First application is for the radar systems. Original capacitor is this huge, therefore we cannot carry the radar systems in the battlefield. So during this World War II, every country needs to really develop the compact and the soldier carryable, the radar systems. Therefore, US, Japan, Russia independently discovered the barium titanate. During this period, all are fighting each other. Therefore, we don't know which country is really the first developer or discoverer. Anyhow, this is the discovery. And the further improvement came up. Okay? Barium titanate is one of the key materials for this. Are you familiar with the little boy? 多分田中先生、リトルボーイ知ってますね。Atomic bomb. Okay? Yes. Nuclear bomb is called Little Boy, a kind of nickname in the United States. So this was, provided by the this planes and hit. Okay. Why our piezo or barium titanate is required? As I told you, this is the high capacitor materials. Barium titanate was used for the multi-layer designs, first as a capacitor and atomic bomb ignition switch was created. So this is the Los Alamos, so-called Manhattan project, one of the Manhattan project. So this is the first multi-layer capacitors, and the barium titanate multi-layer capacitor. The worldwide manufacturer is now the Japanese companies, Murata manufacturing company. They are making this. So this is not really disclosed like a published paper yet. So I just learned from Murata, already passed away, but late Wakino, Dr. Wakino, he told me the Murata was initially worked for, and learned from the Los Alamos multi-layer and so on. And finally, the multi-layer capacitor was widely commercialized, okay? But anyhow, you can understand that any kind of materials are originally utilized successfully in the military. That materials can be really widely commercialized, okay?
Professor, is Los Alamos really located in Los Alamos, San Antonio?
Yes.
San Antonio.
Yeah. Los Alamos, of course, all the employees should be U.S. citizen and highly classified person.
So no Mexican.
The visitor can visit only the visitor center. So I will not repeat again. The ONR, anyhow, I explained these territories. So for the Japanese universities, but the Japanese professor doesn't know how to collaborate with us. It's not really military, but future military application, any kind of technology can be utilized for the military, okay? Therefore, I will show you the naval S&T. Science and technology, we usually use abbreviation like S&T, strategic plan. This is the old version. You can also seek the newest version, but still Obama period so far. The Trump has not really created a new version yet, okay? So what is necessary? Fleet and force, that means the final goal, okay? In that case, naval aviation or naval exploit and surface warfare or under warfare, almost all warfare related. Science and technology, this is not directly related, but these are the categories of the science and technology which we seek with the international universities or international research institute. Assure access to the maritime battlefield, autonomy, and information, platform, power, and total ownership, and so on. The details will be explained on the next slide. Assure access to the maritime battle space. The Penn State professors are usually supported by this division, maritime battle space. That means sense and predict environmental. So like the weather forecast is one of the important issues in our Navy's research. And also in my case, sonar systems, how to detect the enemy's submarine and so on, okay? Next one, autonomy, unmanned systems. We have lots of unmanned systems. This is unmanned aerial vehicle and fighter. and also unmanned are all around here. So manned and unmanned systems both can be considered. Autonomy is a key word. Okay. Yeah, this morning completely autonomous, like the vehicle developed by the Audi, and also the European, the automotive. They are already like autonomy. So actually unmanned. Driver is sitting, but you don't need to drive anything, just like this, okay? Expeditionary and irregular warfare. Irregular warfare, this is like a spy. That without really the hardware fighting, we can compete. So that is usually called the irregular challenge. During the World War II, to discourage the Japanese fighting, the United States provide us radio and a beautiful voice, Tokyo Rose, the second, I think, third generation of the Japanese ladies, but she can speak a beautiful Japanese, trained Japanese, and the talking about Japanese soldiers. It's too late. You had better abandon and coming in. Okay, so, to discourage the fighting. That's the typical irregular challenge. Okay, or another spying type, situation. Yeah. Information dominance. Of course, information is important. So analysis and intelligence and persistent surveillance. So basically, this area is Ed Snowden's area, taking all the informations and analyzing all the each country's the political action and so on. Okay, and the platform design. Platform means the hardware, the ship, the hull, or the vehicle hull or area, all are platform. So platform design. How fast is essential, and the ship, without even the severe tidal wave comes, it doesn't really rotate back or fall down. Okay, that's the platform design. So agile, fuel efficient, and flexible platforms.
Air fighter carrier, that picture, the right and bottom, is that typical platform?
The all vessel original hull part is a platform design. So this part, we have got a good research contract with Osaka University. They developed beautiful platforms. Okay. I will explain tomorrow on that.
My affiliate university in Ukraine is called National Shipbuilding University. And they said they designed USSR, the first air carrier.
Yeah.
Which has been all now sold to China as scrap.
Yes. That's a problem. And power and energy. I'm also working on this, I sometimes get support from this. Power and energy, how efficient, the power source. And now the fuel cell and also batteries, which is better for the future military and also automotive, okay? Do you know the difference between battery and fuel cell? 燃料電池. Who knows the battery and yeah. Just slightly explain for the other person. which are popularly used for our Navy. Do you know that? Battery or fuel cell. That also reflects to the U.S. automotive industries. Okay. Navy currently 70% fuel cell. And the battery is very small. Do you know the reason? Battery is exploding. You have got the battery explosion in the Samsung Galaxy 7 something. Do you remember? Okay. Burning. That happened in the battery. Okay. Fuel cell is rather safe. To the contrary, fuel cell, we need to add the hydrogen. Therefore, hydrogen in some container is usually put. However, hydrogen containers safety has been already realized in the navies for these 20 years, so rather safe. No explosion happened for the fuel cell. These are some usage for the unmanned aerial vehicle and so on. Okay, but batteries still we have a problem depending on the conditions. High temperature or others, burning happen. Therefore, battery is a little less, the safety from our military's viewpoint. Okay. So energy security and efficient power, and power projection and the integrated defense. Power projection means instead of engines, we need some of the special propulsion and the possibilities. The one possibility, if you remember the Star Wars or others in the space, we sometimes provide some of the large voltage current, and this current and the motion create again, you have learned the high school like a Lorentz force and creating motions. So even the ships, we sometimes create magnetic large coils and creating a current, and the propulsion is made. So these are new type of power propulsion we are seeking. So we supported some of the Japanese professors, the research on it. So power propulsion capability. Total ownership cost. This is my original work, because I'm an MBA, and therefore basically the Navy needs to find cheaper manufacturers in Japan, mass production manufacturer in Japan. Therefore, I set Korea, Singapore, and Japan's manufacturing base for the Navy's purpose, some particular materials. So this means total ownership cost, cheaper and keeping qualities, that's important issues, okay? So reduce total ownership cost. That's warfighter performance. This is each individual, the soldiers, the performance, and keeping basically injury care and sailors and Marines. We invested for the Tsukuba materials, what's that? The materials, National Materials, Institute for Materials Engineering or something in Tsukuba. The one professor developed a beautiful Band-Aid. Compared to the typical Band-Aid, putting this and recovering is very quick. Next day already this is almost healing completely. We need this kind of medical, accelerated recovering or injury. Okay. So our small motors, we integrated for the medical catheter for the inside, the inserting catheter and crushing blood clot or others. These are also utilized by that is armies, not the navies, but the army sponsored program. we really work for the medical. Natural disaster, Hurricane Katrina. Now 12:30, so I think we had better have a lunch break here. No, lunch break at this moment. So 1 hour.
To one announcement, and this evening we will have the party inviting Professor Uchino, and unfortunately Professor Tanaka should skip that occasion. Is there anyone who wish to attend? Please let me know, because I should report how many people would attend. So the place is nearby, and the price might be 2,000 yen or so. And okay, so that is the first announcement. And also there might be the second announcement is a little bit related to the lecture of the Professor Uchino's. He is focusing on today, this morning, he's focusing on the relationship between the politics, international relationship, and politics and engineering. And to the typical Japanese, it is quite that kind of the idea or conceptual framework is not that widely publicized in Japan. So I wish to focus on the what is the difference between the US and other countries and Japan. Japan is a little bit exceptional case among the world politics and engineering relationship. So maybe I wish to ask the Professor Uchino lay out what is the background of the Japanese this situation. Maybe there are quite a lot of the foreign students and that kind of thing. So that is the second point. Okay, so we have the 1 hour break for the lunch, and today is a Saturday, so student dining room might be open, but this is the final exam season. So around this time, I'm not sure. It depends on the time. So it might be crowded or it is empty. I'm not sure.